Welcome to week 2 of our new book in Book Wizards. This month we are reading The Hidden Stairs and the Magic Carpet, which is the first book in the Secrets of Droon series. We read chapters 1 and 2 last week, so this week we will be doing chapters 3 and 4. When we left off, Eric and Julie and Neil had discovered a world underneath Eric's basement, and they were getting into a little bit of trouble because they were under attack from some flying lizards. So let's see what happens next in The Hidden Stairs and the Magic Carpet. Chapter 3, Groggles and Nims. Fwang! Another arrow flew at them. Suddenly, flying lizards were everywhere. The riders on their backs were getting their bows ready for another shot. "Run back up to my house!" Eric shouted. "We can't," Julie said. "The steps are disappearing. Look!" She pointed. The steps were fading into the mist, vanishing into the pink sky. "Oh man," Neil cried. "I knew this would happen." Boing! A third flaming arrow shot by. "Follow me to the bottom," Eric yelled. "We can hide in the trees." He rushed down, jumping 2 steps with every jump, but the steps were disappearing underneath him. "No!" he cried. He tumbled into the air. "Ah!" Julie screamed. Neil shouted, "Grab onto that!" Eric didn't hear the rest. He fell like a rock through the trees. Branches snapped and crackled around him. "Oomph!" Eric moaned when he finally hit the ground. He lay there facing the sky. For a second, he couldn't remember where he was. Then he saw the giant lizards circling lower. "Caw! Caw!" They dived towards him. "Holy cow!" Eric tried to crawl under a bush. "Ouch! My ankle!" he groaned. He must have hurt it in the fall. He could hardly move. The lizards swept even closer to the treetops. When they swooped, Eric saw the riders clearly. Their skin was as bright and shiny as red crayons. "Oh man, I must be dreaming," he whispered to himself. "A really bad dream, too." "It's bad," said a voice, "but it's no dream." Eric turned his head. Who said that?" "Shh!" Suddenly the bushes before him began to move, and someone leapt out at him. It was a girl. She was dressed in a blue tunic. A thick brown belt was wound around her waist. "Caw! Caw!" The lizard swooped again. The girl picked up a pebble and she threw it hard. It hit a distant tree with a loud smack. "Over there!" cried a lizard rider, pointing to the tree. The lizards flew away. "Whoa! Cool move!" Eric looked into the girl's green eyes. Her skin was as pale as a cloud. "But who are you?" "Kia," she said. "You must be from the upper world. How did you get here?" Eric blinked when he thought of how to tell her. I sort of fell." "You picked the worst place in all of Droon. Lord Spar's very close. His red Nims are everywhere, hunting for me on their flying groggles." "Lord Spar," Eric repeated. "Nims? Groggles? Did you hurt yourself?" The girl pressed her finger on Eric's ankle. "Oh, ouch!" Eric grunted. "It's probably sprained." Then the girl opened a small leather pouch on her wrist. She sprinkled some sparkly dust on Eric's ankle. "Better?" His leg began to tingle. He moved his foot. "Hey, the pain's gone. How did you do that?" "Never mind," the girl said. She began to scribble on a piece of paper. "You have to help me. Find Galen and tell him to send this message to my father, King Zello." "King?" Eric repeated. "You're a princess?" "There they are! Get them!" a voice cried out from above. Flap! Flap! The lizards dived suddenly towards Kia and Eric. They flapped to the ground, and their red riders leapt off. "The Nins have spotted us!" Kia cried. She pushed the wrinkled scrap of paper into Eric's hand. "Lord Spar is a wizard. He is pure evil. He will stop at nothing to conquer Droon. Now hurry, you'll find Galen in his tower." "Tower?" said Eric. "I can't find any tower. I've got to find my friends and get home." The girl looked into his eyes. "If you're from the upper world, you'll need help getting home. If you do this for me, I promise to help you. Now I'll distract them while you go. Hurry!" Without another word, Kia leapt away swiftly like a cat. The leaves fluttered above her, and Eric looked up. A strange white bird was gliding over the trees. The bird seemed to be following her. "There!" one Nin cried. "The princess!" The red creatures broke branches and tore at leaves to get to Kia, but she only ran faster. I don't believe any of this," Eric said. He scrambled up from the ground and dashed down a narrow path after the princess. A stone bridge lay ahead of him. Maybe if he got there before the Nins, he could somehow help Kia escape. He had to try. Eric raced towards the bridge. "Get him!" cried a voice. A hand came from nowhere. It grabbed Eric and it pulled him to the ground. Chapter 4. At the Bridge. Oof! Eric rolled over and over until he stopped under the bridge. He looked up. He couldn't believe his eyes. "Neil! Julie! I thought I'd lost you!" Oof! Neil put his hand over Eric's mouth. "Shh!" Julie pointed to the top of the bridge. "Those ugly red guys are up there." Eric nodded. Neil pulled his hand away. Eric started speaking as quickly and as softly as he could. He told Neil and Julie what had happened to him. "We're in some place called Droon," he whispered. "I met a princess named Kia. She gave me a message for her father, King Zello." Neil glanced at the paper in Eric's hand, then gave him a strange look. Uh-huh, sure. "The red guys are called Nins," Eric continued. "We have to see what they're up to. Give me a boost." Neil grumbled, but put out his hand so Eric could hoist himself up. A moment later, Julie was next to Eric, and together they peeked over the top of the bridge. "Uh-oh," Julie whispered. On the bridge were at least a dozen Nims. Up close, their red faces were puffy and fat. Their slitty eyes were set close together. Their chins were pointed, so were their ears. On each hand were 6 clawed fingers. "Lord Spar will be angry," one Nin snarled. "The girl's too quick," snapped another, "and my Groggle's too slow." He nodded at his lizard. "Auga! Auga!" A sound like a horn blasted through the forest. Then the ground rumbled. "Is that a car?" Neil whispered from below. Sort of," Julie answered. But it wasn't like any car they had ever seen. It was long and yellow and had a bubble on top. It bounced down the road on 8 fat tires. When it screeched to a stop in front of the Nins, a tall man stepped out. He was different from the others, Eric thought. He wasn't a Nin. His skin wasn't red or pale like Kia's. He was human, pretty much. Well, except for 2 purple fins sticking up behind his ears. "Where is the girl?" he snarled. His long black coat dragged heavily across the ground. The Nins trembled. One looked up. "The others helped her escape, Lord Spar," he said. Lord Spar's eyes flashed in anger, and the fins behind his ears suddenly grew darker. "Did you see that?" Julie whispered. "He's some kind of wizard," Eric whispered back. "Princess Kia said he was pure evil." How many others? Spar demanded. Another nin held up his claw. He lowered 3 of his 6 fingers. 3, my lord! Scour the forest, burn it down if you must, but find the girl! Find her friends, too! Lord Spar turned and stormed back to his yellow car. Auga! Auga! The horn blasted. The engine roared. The car tore away loudly down the road, leaving a cloud of thick blue smoke behind it. Flap! Flap! The sound of flapping groggle wings filled the forest. A moment later, Eric and his friends were alone at the bridge. Lord Spar is definitely bad news, Julie said. And those ear fins are very weird. This whole place is weird, if you ask me, Neil said. How do we get out of here? Eric frowned. Kia said to find somebody named Galen who lives in a tower. If we do, she promised to help us get home. And Galen's also supposed to send this message to her father. Eric unfolded the wrinkled paper Kia had given him. In thin blue ink it read, Singat Decada El Libul Frozenfroz. Eric scratched his head. Well, this doesn't make any sense. Julie laughed. No kidding. I mean, flying lizards, bubble cars, a guy with fins on his head, and all under your stairs, Neil added. Eric didn't answer. He looked into the forest where he had last seen Kia. He hoped she was safe, but something told him she wasn't. I think she's in danger, he said quietly. So are we, Julie added. Let's find this Galen guy, Neil said. The sooner we do, the sooner we can get home. There's a path this way, come on. Neil started running along the path. He rushed into a clearing and he bumped his nose on something that wasn't there. That is the end of Chapter 4 of our book, The Hidden Stairs and the Magic Carpet, the first book in the Secrets of Droon series. Next week, we will be reading chapters 5 and 6, and we will find out what it was that Neil bumped into and what's going to happen with the evil Lord Spar and Princess Kia. But first, our activity for this week. In these chapters, we learned a lot of new words. We talked about nyms and groggles and all sorts of strange creatures in this new world of Droom. For this week's activity, I want you to make up 5 new words. That's 5 words that don't exist yet. You have to make them up. I want 5 words, and then I want you to write the definition for what each of those 5 new words means. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye!